The NBA Awards show is tonight, and we're recording live. Will Luka win Rookie of the Year? We don't know yet. You'll get to hear our live reactions to that, plus more Mavericks free agent rumors and news. Let's get started. Welcome to Dallas Hoops Fancast, a podcast for Mavs fans. I'm your host, Sydney. I'm here with my co-host, Martin.
Hey, guys.
If you're new here, thank you so much for listening. You're going to love this show for 3 reasons. First of all, it's ad-free. Yes, no ads ever. Second of all, we're real Mavs fans. We don't work for the team or any big media outlets, and we're not fans of any other team.
Like the Lakers.
This truly is a podcast by Mavs fans for Mavs fans. And third, you're not just listening to a podcast, you're joining a tribe of Mavericks fans. So talk about the show at the office, chat with us on Twitter, Instagram, or on YouTube. Join the conversation. We're happy you're here, and thank you to all of our new returning listeners and our new listeners for the support. Really, we appreciate it a lot. By the way, if you're following us on Instagram at Dallas Hoops Fancast, then you've seen our Mavs Trivia Tuesday. So last week's trivia question was, what year did the Mavs make the playoffs for the first time? Do you remember that, Martin? You know, this is a fun thing that people like doing, and I don't appreciate you laughing at it just because
it's just the intros get longer.
This isn't the intro. It's a fun thing.
All right.
Do you remember the year the Mavs made the playoffs for the first time?
For the first time, I think it was 84, 85.
It was.
Oh,
it was
okay.
84, yeah. So at Jake Faybacher, I'm probably pronouncing that wrong, but congratulations, Jake. He answered the question correctly first. So there's your shout out. Follow us on Instagram for this week's Trivia Tuesday, and you could get a shout out. Pretty cool, huh? Okay.
I don't know how to respond to that.
Okay, so
super awesome.
Anyways, on to the cool stuff. The NBA Awards show is going on right now. Actually, I'm watching Shaq walk to the stage. He's wearing shorts and a t-shirt. I guess Shaq's gonna do Shaq. But we're recording this live during the award show, so you'll get to hear our live reactions to really the only award that we care about, which is Rookie of the Year. Do you have any thoughts, any predictions for...
Luka better win. If Luka doesn't win, then I don't know how this podcast is going to go, but that's just all I have to say. All these people that talk about how Trae Young had a better second half of the season. Okay, this is how I always talk.
Well, it sounds like you're yelling.
Well, I'm not.
Okay, anyways, I do think that Luka should win. However, what do you I think there's actually kind of a strong possibility that it's co-Rookie of the Year.
Again, that you might as well, if I'm Luka, I don't even walk up there. I just let Trae Young keep the award because that's not an award. It's not they weren't co-Rookies of the Year. Luka was better. Even when Trae was on his 10-game hot streak after February 1st or whatever, Luka was still better even during that time period. Yeah. So it's not a discussion. I know the league, I'm hoping the league was just trying to make it a dramatic event because like in the beginning of the year, it was like, oh, it's over. Yeah. So let's just hope that Luka wins Rookie of the Year and we can all sleep peacefully tonight.
I cannot remember who it was, but he said Trae Young had a really nice stretch towards the end of the season, but even during that time, Luka was better. And it was so funny because really nice, that's a professional way of saying that's cute.
I mean, he was good, don't get me wrong.
For 40 games.
And that's fine, but he was good. And any other year, Trae Young would probably win Rookie of the Year. Unfortunately for him, he happened to get drafted the same time as Luka, who had a historic rookie year with only one other player did what he did their rookie season. So
yeah, I mean, you could, if you put Luka's stats together in terms of points, assists, rebounds, the only other people that did that were Larry Bird, Oscar Robertson.
Well, it was Oscar Robertson's the only other player to do the 21, 8, and 6. Or 7 and 6, something like that. Oscar Robertson's the only other player to do what Luka did his rookie year. I mean, if that's not Rookie of the Year, then what is?
Yeah, well, not only that, but his the number of triple doubles. I think it was Magic Johnson was the only other player that did that his rookie year, or was it just
no? He had like 7 or 8. He had the same amount as Magic Johnson, but Ben Simmons had more, and then Oscar Robertson had the most their rookie year.
Oh, okay.
So, but still, he's in some elite category. Not that Trae Young's not. Trae Young had a great year. I know people are going to talk about, well, he scored 48 points that one game or whatever.
But that was like a quadruple overtime.
Well, they like to forget that piece of it and just talk about
it
the 48
points. It was like an extra quarter.
Yeah, it was an extra 2 quarters. It was an extra half, basically.
Yeah.
So, we just got to see Trae Young.
Yeah. So
There's Lukey.
Let's do.
He's always there with his mom.
Well, it's a family. They're a family. They're a happy family. They like each other. Okay, so a quick comparison, Trae to Luka. Luka averaged 21.2 points, Trae Young 19.1. So Luka wins that. Assists. Now Trae Young averaged more because he's a point guard. 8.1 compared to 6 for Luka.
Okay, but my defense to that is Luka wasn't the starting point guard for the Mavs the first half of the season. Once he became the starting point guard, he averaged like 8 assists a game. So his assists are really right there with Trae. But yes, for the season, Trae Young wins.
Rebounds, Luka 7.8, Trae Young 3.7. I think a lot of that's because Luka could play. Well, he played small forward, or at least he started at small forward, and he's just bigger.
He just went for rebounds.
He's just a better rebounder. Steals, Luka 1.1, Trae Young 0.9. Blocks, Luka 0.3, Trae Young 0.2. Turnovers, Luka 3.4, Trae Young 3.8. Shooting percentage, Luka 42.7, Trae Young 41.8. 3-point shooting, Luka 32.7, Trae Young 32.4. I mean, it's just like in every statistical category, Luka was better.
And that's not even the advanced stats. When you look at advanced stats, Trae is nowhere near Luka.
So PER, Luka had a higher PER, 2.5 points higher. If we look at win shares, Luka was at 4.9 compared to 3.3. Win shares per 48 minutes, Luka was higher. Box plus minus, Luka was 4.1. Trae Young was negative 1.1.
And it's probably his defense box plus minus.
Value over replacement player, Luka is 3.6. Trae Young is 0.6.
Yeah.
So, I mean, whether or not you like advanced stats or not, you could stick with the basic stats that we've been using for 100 years. That's fine. But in either category, Luka is just better. And, again, like you said, Trae Young had an amazing year. 19 points, 8 assists.
Any other
year,
he's winning Rookie of the Year. He just happened to come out the same time as Luka.
Yeah. Any other year, DeAndre Ayton might have won Rookie of the Year. I mean, heck, Malcolm Brogdon won with numbers that probably were similar to Jaren Jackson Jr. I mean, it was just a really good rookie class. But Luka was the best.
And he better win. If he doesn't, I don't know what's going to happen. I really don't.
So I'm told that Rookie of the Year is first, but obviously we're not going to waste any time because people listening to this already know what happened. So I don't want to just ramble about nothing. So in the meantime, until we get to Rookie of the Year, we can talk about some of these other rumors that have come up.
Yeah, we got to catch up on the
so
free agency rumors.
We'll start with the most recent, and then we'll kind of work our way down. The most recent news being that the Mavericks are supposedly getting a meeting with Kawhi Leonard.
I mean, okay, you're not getting them, so let's move on. Like, why even waste time? Just tell Kawhi, hey, we appreciate it, but we know you're not coming here. See ya.
Well, okay, so it was Chris Sheridan that reported this, and he's been a reporter for a long time. He's had some scoops, but he's not like a Mark Stein type guy. But he said a person very close to the Mavs just told me that Dallas is expecting to get a meeting with Kawhi Leonard.
Okay, but so, I mean, Like, come on, people.
So are you saying it's not worth it?
He's not coming to Dallas.
Even if you can get a meeting, are you saying that?
No, I don't waste my time.
No, you don't say. I don't think you say no to Kawhi.
He's not coming here.
Now,
if he told you, by the way, it's between you and Toronto, then yeah, okay.
Well, yeah.
But you have never been mentioned with the Kawhi sweepstakes.
Skeepscakes.
Ever. So now all of a sudden, oh, you know what? They're doing Rookie of the Year.
Oh, crap. All right, let's catch this audio.
Take it away, RJ.
Here are the candidates for the NBA Rookie of the Year.
I'm actually nervous.
Luka Doncic. When you look at Trae Young, brother's got range.
Trey's going to launch from Steve.
Otherworldly passing ability in multiple 40-point games.
This kid is amazing, folks. He's tremendous.
DeAndre Ayton.
Tremendous.
I compare him to young David Robinson.
It's kind of embarrassing for DeAndre Ayton because he doesn't have a chance.
16 and 10. He had a great rookie year. Okay.
He's the best rookie since LeBron James.
He's already got the things that we go, wow.
It's Luka mania, you know, it's real.
Oh my goodness, what a show! He ain't no ordinary rookie. What a nasty change.
Ray Schroeder.
That is Luka magic! Show him what you got.
And 2019 Kia NBA Rookie of the Year is
Luka Doncic.
Let's hear his speech.
Yeah.
Okay, we can all sleep peacefully tonight.
All right, I want to hear his speech.
First of all, I want to congratulate Trey and DeAndre for amazing seasons. And not just them, you know, the whole rookie class. I think it's amazing. And we can make something big. And after, I want to thank my family, my girl, Kike, Bill, Rick, my team, my whole teammates. So thank you very much.
He sounded so nervous.
Okay, well, like I said, we can sleep peacefully tonight.
Yes.
Justice was served tonight. Trae Young did not win Rookie of the Year.
He's
he
the
did not
rookie
deserve.
we deserve.
Yes,
Just not the one we need. Or he's the one we need, but not
just
the one
not
we
the one.
deserve. I never
Either
understood
way,
that line.
Luka won, and that's all that matters. He deserved it, had a great year. If you look at past Rookie of the Years over the last 25 years, it just helps you to see there's a real chance that Luka is going to be a superstar for a long, long time.
This is a very good sign. And I wish I had these numbers in front of me. You just reminded me of, I looked at players that had won Rookie of the Year and how many of them went on to win MVP or win a championship or were Hall of Famers. And it's, I mean,
it was a very high percentage.
Yeah, it was a really high percentage. I would say off the top of my head, it was about 50%. Again, I wish I had that in front of me. But yeah, there's a very good chance that he's going to be at least an
all-star.
Yeah, an all-star,
all-star.
a decade, an all-time great of the decade, and then possibly like end up somewhere in the conversation of a great player. So I'm really happy about that. Honestly, now it's just about next season and trying to keep him, which I think so far the Mavs front office.
I mean, his first year they bring in Kristaps Porzingis, and
they're already talking about trying to get Kemba Walker and all these other guys.
We got this special meeting with Kawhi Leonard. You know, he plays the same position as Luka, so it would be important that we have this meeting with him.
Okay, so going back to that, I think you take the meeting with Kawhi. Obviously, you don't wait for him. I mean, you also meet with Kemba. And if Kemba tells you yes, then you do that. But I mean, you don't say no to a meeting with Kawhi.
The only reason I meet with Kawhi is if he says it's between you and Toronto. You are the front runners or you're second in place. Okay, fine.
Yeah.
But if he's got 9 teams he's meeting with and you're one of those 9, like, just move on. You're not getting Kawhi. He doesn't want to come to Dallas. I doubt they actually have a meeting. I think it was Fisher
Mike Fisher said that his source tells him that it would take something crazy for that meeting to happen, but the Mavs wouldn't say no, obviously.
Of course they wouldn't, but I mean, it's not going to happen. They're not meeting with Kawhi. So
Anyways,
it's a non-story.
So let's move on to the next most recent rumors, and that is Al Horford. And this has just gone from this small little, oh, that's surprising, to like, I don't even know. So I'm just going to run down everything that has happened. So first of all, Al Horford opted out. He was going to get, I think, like $30 million next season. And everyone was like, what? And then they were like, yeah, he wants to re-sign with the Celtics. We were like, oh, okay. So just get a long-term deal. And then it was like, no, they're really far apart, because he says that he already has a guarantee of 4 years, $100 million. And everyone was like, what? Again? Okay. And then...
This is, in Ant-Man, Michael Pena.
What?
He does these 2 monologues, I guess. And this is exactly what he sounds like.
I'm running down...
Like, what? And then they were like this, and it was like, what? That's what you sound like.
I'm running down the news.
All right,
okay.
Keep going.
So then somebody, I don't even know where this came from, but somebody tweeted that guaranteed contract was coming from the Mavericks. And everyone was like, yeah, okay, because Horford is like 33 years old. 4 years, $100 million. I mean, the Mavs have the space, but...
Makes no sense.
Yeah, they're going after young guys like Kemba Walker and D'Angelo Russell and all that. And so, for the record, Mike Fisher, Mark Stein, and Tim McMahon have all 3 said that, according to their sources, this is not happening. Like, the Mavs have been very adamant that they have not guaranteed this contract. That, yeah, they like Al Horford, but they're not going to sign him for that contract. Now, you know, there's a possibility, 1, they're all being lied to, or 2, the Mavs are just adamantly, and like maybe they're denying it too much. Like maybe it kind of is looking obvious now because they're being so strong about it.
I mean, you never know right now, like what teams and players and agents decide to leak. You don't know if it's true or not, or if they're just leaking it to gain leverage, or they're trying to backpedal so they don't get fined for tampering, or, you know, whatever the case. So you never really know, but the fact that his name has been linked with the Mavericks quite a bit, when there's smoke, there's fire, or there's a smoke screen. So you just don't know which one it is.
Martin.
And somebody tweeted that. I did not. I don't own that one. Oh. Somebody else tweeted that, and I liked it. I hearted it.
Well, so, that was deep.
Yeah. So who knows? I mean, I like Horford a lot, and I'd love to have him on Dallas, but I'm not going to give him that much money. He's not going to be my big signing this offseason. But if you can bring him in with somebody else, like a sign and trade for Kemba Walker, which is what kind of has been floating out there, and then you sign Horford, that I would be okay with, because you instantly become a title contender.
Yeah, I agree. And that kind of goes along with, like, since this speculation is continuing, people are starting to think, like, okay, how could the Mavs make this work and still get Kemba Walker? And the idea is a sign and trade. And so a couple of potentials, I guess, is so the trade would be for Kemba Walker, a sign and trade for Kemba Walker, and the Mavs would send Charlotte Jalen Brunson, because obviously they would need a point guard. They would send them Courtney Lee because he has an expiring contract.
Well, and if Courtney Lee can be bought out, or his
he could
contract
also
could be flexed
I think stretched
out,
or
yeah,
something.
stretched, something like that.
But then they would still have to get rid of Hardaway Jr., like just straight up get rid of his contract. And then, even then, they would still have to work some magic with other players they have that have like guarantees, or they have bird rights on. They would have to renounce some things, and maybe even move Justin Jackson to get rid of his. So like, it's not an easy, it's not an easy path. Plus, they would have to convince Charlotte to do that in the first place.
Which there's no reason for them, unless they want to get out of another contract like Batum's contract, and you absorb that long-term contract for whatever, so that way they can get rid of that. But yeah, it's a long shot. The Mavericks are better off just signing their guy.
Yeah, but then it's between Kemba and Al Horford, which 2 weeks ago no one cared about. But now all of a sudden we're like, well, I don't know. Maybe we need both.
Well, I mean, obviously we need both. We need a center. We need a rebounder.
We need everyone.
And yeah, it would be nice to have another scoring option with Luka and Porzingis.
It's Porzingis.
Porzingis. But it's just, come on, this fantasy land. Like, now, if anybody can pull it off, it's Donnie Nelson. But yeah, you know, he's going to keep the powder dry.
Yeah. Okay. You talked about how it'd be nice to have Horford. Some pros of that would be he's a good pick and pop guy. He can also pick and roll. Yeah, for alley-oops or just rolling to the rim. He's very strong and athletic, which helps with that pick and roll, but also his defense. He's still a pretty good defender, and he has more athleticism left in him than I thought. Like I said, he's 33, but he's still pretty athletic.
Bigs usually last a little bit longer in the league for whatever reason, maybe their length and size. Yeah. But he's an excellent defender. He can switch onto little guys and keep them from getting into the paint and forcing them to shoot jump shots. And he guarded Giannis really, really well.
He did really well with that.
Because he's not too big. He's kind of a smaller center, but he's still a really good rebounder and rim protector, and he's agile and mobile. And it would just be a really nice piece next to Porzingis. So that way, you know, he can rely on offense, kind of like Dirk and Tyson.
Yeah.
You know, not to constantly compare
but, you know, it's
Kristaps to Dirk, but they got a
have
really
the same
similar
kind
player.
Of game. Yeah, it's just a fact. And Al Horford is also a very good passer. They run him, or the Celtics did have him at the high post a lot, and he could make passes out of that, or even just if he was driving, he could see the open man and make that quick pass.
And he's a multiple-time All-Star.
Yeah.
So I would love to have him. I don't want to pay him $27 million a year for 4 years, but if we can find a way to get him and somebody else, I'd be all for it.
So those are the cons. Yeah, that it's 4 years, $112 million, and he's 33.
And you know, in order to turn down $30 million next year, he had to have had somebody.
Yeah, I don't think it's leverage.
No, you don't leave $30 million on the table.
Yeah, so I mean, if it was like 3 years, or if it was 4 years less money, I mean, some reworking of one of those numbers, yeah, I would be okay with it. It's just, it's the 4 years and it's the $120 million together that's just,
and he's just not worth $30 million a year or $27 million a year. No disrespect to him, but that's the money you give to a franchise player.
To like a Kemba Walker, who I don't know if he can be a number one, but I mean, I don't think I have to make this argument. Like, he's better than Al Horford. He's the guy that you would give that kind of money to. So I don't know. It was like, at first, it was no one was even thinking about it, and then it was like, oh, really? The Mavs are linked to him, and now we're trying to figure out if this is real.
They are, they're not, you know.
But again, for the record, all of the Dallas guys, Mike Fisher, Mark Stein, and Tim McMahon, have said this is not happening. So we'll see. But one final note on that: Jeff Skinway tweeted, and I quote, "So I'm very confident Mavs fans are going to be very satisfied with this offseason."
Why would you do that to us? I mean,
what does that mean?
That drives us. Well, it's like it's hinting that something big is going to happen.
But like, I don't.
It's something big. You know what? Save that tweet, because if something big doesn't happen, I want to go back to Skin and say, hey, why would you do that to us?
Not cool.
Next time, keep your mouth shut, okay?
Well, he must know, I guess. I mean,
he's always having a beer with somebody, so, you know, he knows something.
I don't know how, like, I know that he does the telecast. He does a lot of work with the team, but I don't know how news travels within organizations. Anyways, so that was a little bit, it's like, I don't know. And at the same time, like, how would you know? Because you still have to meet with the free agent.
Yeah.
And,
well,
you know.
And we've talked about this before. A lot, not all of them, but a lot of players already know where they're going to go.
Yeah.
And a lot of teams already know who they're going to get. And they do that in order to communicate with other potential players and teams, so that way that team can be prepared and make other changes that need to be made in order for it to happen. It's not always the case, and honestly, I don't really know that for 100% certainty, but I mean, if you just think about it for 5 minutes, you'll come to the same conclusion.
Well, just based on stuff that you hear, and this reminds me of Andre Iguodala was on, I don't remember what show today, and he said, nobody's going to the Knicks. Like, ain't no one going to the Knicks, okay? Yeah. But that does remind me, so we were talking about Kyrie Irving going to Brooklyn, and we were like, why? Because I don't see how that makes a difference.
There's no benefit there.
And you hypothesized that the only reason he would go is if he had talked to another player and knew that other player was also going. Well, and that's what we're starting to hear now.
Yeah, well, I didn't know that Kyrie and Kevin Durant were close friends.
Yeah, me neither.
All of a sudden, that leaked out of nowhere that they're like BFFs.
So now they're saying Durant is going to Brooklyn.
And if that's the only reason why Kyrie would pick Brooklyn. Yeah. Like, they both wanted to go to New York, but none of them wanted to go to the Knicks. So yeah, if Durant decides to go there, then Kyrie's going to go there. They're going to play together. Next year, they're going to suck because Durant's going to be out all year.
Well, yeah, but they'll be...
They'll be okay. They'll be in the playoffs because they're in the East.
Yeah, well, they were already in the playoffs. So, and it might not be Durant. It might be somebody else.
Yeah, but either way, he's going to have somebody else that's deciding that because, for all the talk that he has about winning and a winning mentality and going to a winning organization, going to the Nets doesn't provide that unless he's got somebody else going there with him.
I will say the Nets have done a lot of things to change the culture. Like the coach, is it the GM that's from the Spurs?
Yeah.
The guys that they've brought in, while they're not like high talent guys, they're high character. They have a good system in place. This year they finished 42-40. Like they've done the right things to turn things around, despite being screwed over with no draft picks.
And honestly, I don't think they even were planning on winning this year.
Maybe
because
not,
if you really look at their roster, it's not really good. But D'Angelo Russell had a breakout year.
Yeah.
But that does leave us with the D'Lo.
Yeah.
So a lot of people want D'Angelo Russell or the Mavericks to go after D'Angelo Russell if Kyrie goes to Brooklyn, because obviously they're going to let D'Angelo Russell walk. At that point, do you go after Kemba or D'Angelo Russell?
I mean, so I posted about this on Instagram, like which one would you rather have, and Twitter too. And I was kind of surprised that the majority of people said D'Angelo Russell. When I thought about it, I was like, well, yeah, I mean, I guess he is a lot younger.
I think he's 24.
Yeah,
and Kemba's 29.
Yeah, there's more potential there, his ceiling for growth. Honestly, I think they're both really similar. So in that case, you'd go with the younger guy.
The only thing that concerns me with D'Angelo Russell is he's only done it 1 year, and it happened to be his contract year.
Yeah.
And we've seen that all the time with players who they're okay, and then in their contract year, they put up big numbers, they get that huge deal, and then they're not really that good. Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
So that's my only concern with him is he doesn't really have a big enough body of work for me to get really that excited. Now, if I found out the Mavs were signing him, then I'd be like thrilled.
Yeah.
But right now, I'd rather have Kemba. But honestly, I don't like either one of them with the Mavericks. I would rather them go after somebody that can defend the guard position because right now we don't have that. And as good as Kemba and D'Angelo Russell are, they're not really good defenders. Now, the one thing with D'Angelo that I think would work better with Luka is he's 6'5", so he can actually play the 2 guard, and they can bring in a Pat Beverly to play the point guard and be the defensive guy, and Luka on defense would be the 3. And D'Angelo Russell at 6'5", I think would be a more natural shooting guard anyways.
Yeah, I do. I think his size is important. Speaking of Patrick Beverly, they have said that the Mavs will get a meeting with him, but he's also meeting with some other teams too. I also heard today that the Nets plan on trying to bring in DeAndre Jordan, who's apparently good friends with Kevin Durant, to try to convince him to go there. I mean, there's just there's so much.
You can have him. We've had DeAndre Jordan, and he's really good at padding his stats.
Yeah, that was frustrating. So yeah, I think that D'Angelo Russell could fit. I think Kemba Walker could fit, but I'm not sold on either one. So I feel like I want one of them because it would be super exciting.
Yeah.
But in reality, is it the best thing? I don't know.
I mean, you know what you're getting with Kemba. He's done it for a long time now. He's going to come in here. He's going to put the ball in the basket. He's going to score a lot. D'Angelo Russell is a little bit more of a mystery. But, I mean, obviously, if we got one of them, great. Whether that's going to happen, I don't know.
I trust Donnie Nelson, though. If he's the one pulling the strings.
If he says get him, then get him.
Yeah.
If it's Cuban, that makes me a little nervous just because he doesn't have a good track record with bringing in players.
Giannis. I'm never going to forget that one.
Well, Steve Nash.
He
let Steve Nash go for 1 year.
Yeah.
Difference.
But Giannis also, they kept trading down so that they could have an extra $400,000 to offer to Dwight Howard because that would make a difference. So yeah, if it's Donnie Nelson and they don't go after them, then I'm okay with that. And honestly, they have a good team anyways, even without those guys. And they still have competition. I mean, like I said, Patrick Beverly, even that's not sure because he's meeting with other teams. The Knicks and Lakers are also interested in Kemba Walker. And if I'm Kemba, and now the Lakers won't have as much money as everyone thought because they
because they're not very
screwed
bright,
themselves over. But theoretically, he could go there if he wanted to.
He would take less money, but
yeah.
I mean, if you're looking to win a championship and you got to get paid $6 million less or whatever, then you go to the Lakers.
Yeah.
And if he's all about winning, great. And that kind of sucks for the Mavs. And then the Lakers have a powerhouse again. But if he, doesn't want to take a pay cut, then we have a good chance. Now, if we brought in another player or we had an agreement with like a Horford and we could do the sign and trade, then I think we would get any of those two guys. They would agree to come here over anywhere else because now you're adding Luka, Porzingis, and Horford with whatever player you bring in.
Yeah, well, and that's the theory is that they're trying to get this deal with Horford done really quickly so that they can have him in the meeting when they meet with Kemba, so that they can kind of show him like they've got Luka Doncic, they have Kristaps Porzingis, they have Al Horford, and so kind of be a little more enticing to Kemba. But anyways, free agency is
a week
today. Away. Yeah, it starts. Actually, it doesn't start next Monday. It starts at 6 p.m. next Sunday.
Oh, okay.
So we'll start hearing things pretty quickly. What award are they on? I don't know.
It's kind of embarrassing for Paul George and DeAndre Ayton because they're not really in the discussion for winning the award, but you had to have three, and so they just kind of put in there. But the other two, like Giannis and Harden, they just are far higher up than Paul George.
Yeah. I don't know what my pick is for that one.
For MVP, for me, it's Giannis. Like Harden, he puts up really big numbers scoring wise.
Yeah.
But he doesn't do anything in the playoffs. He actually crumbles in the playoffs.
Well, he doesn't crumble. I think his style of play does not suit the playoffs.
Right. So also, his usage rate is like historically the highest it's ever been. Their offense is literally him playing against everybody else and shooting a three, and it's going in.
It's just not a winning strategy. No. Well, it's ironic because it does win in the regular season, but if you think about winning in the true sense of the term, it's not a winning strategy.
So, I mean, to me, it's Giannis. The team had the best record. He had a really good season. It was like 28-12 or something with 6 assists. Really good numbers. And they're more, actual realistic numbers, unlike Harden. Like I said, it's fantasy land with Harden. It's 2K because you just go out there and shoot on my player. I mean, he gets every shot. He gets to shoot more than any other player in the league. And so a lot of players would average, well, not a lot of players, but there are other players that could average 36 points a game if they got to shoot every single shot for the team.
All right, so that's the end of the show. It was fun. It was kind of fun doing the live show during the awards show. And I'm really glad that Luka won Rookie of the Year. It was deserved.
Tonight.
Yeah. Trae had a great year. I mean, I don't think he sucks. He turned out to be much better than I thought he would.
He had a tremendous year.
He had a tremendous year. But no, I mean, I honestly thought Trae Young was going to be a bust. And I'm not ashamed to say it. I thought he was too short, too small. I just didn't think he was going to be able to get his shot off. I thought at the rate that he scored using threes, he was just too one-dimensional and he was going to be a bust.
I still think he's going to be.
I mean, after this, I guess you like Michael Carter-Williams or...
I mean, I don't want to compare him to other players.
But just where it happens.
The problem is, like you mentioned, his size.
Yeah.
And as good as he is, the size eventually catches up with you.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it hasn't
And he
yet.
ain't no 6 foot.
Yeah, but anyway, regardless, he had a better season than I thought he would, and so congrats to him, but Luka was better, and I'm really looking forward to next year, and this is a really good sign for Luka and the Mavs because, like we were saying earlier, winning Rookie of the Year, that just puts you on a course for so many great things, so I'm excited, but that's pretty much it. Any final thoughts? Any final words?
No.
Great. Thank you. But anyway, that's all we have for the show. Thank you guys so much for listening. All the new listeners, thank you so much for all of the support. We really do appreciate it. You can follow us on Twitter at Dallas Hoopscast and on Instagram at Dallas Hoops Fancast. If you're listening to this on YouTube, leave a comment below with your thoughts, anything you want to share about the Mavericks or about the Al Horford rumors, the Kawhi Leonard rumors. And if you're just listening to this podcast, head over to YouTube so you can be a part of that conversation. But that's it for the show. Thanks guys for listening, and we'll see you guys next week. Bye.